It's so wonderful and so comforting to have so many people here, so many family and friends, and people I met for the first time in I guess, 40 years or so. It's like that. Anyway, Dad would be honored, and he would be humbled, and he'd be more than a little embarrassed to have so many people here thinking and talking and focusing on him. It was always hard when we have an anniversary party for he and Mom, and I try to give a toast, because he could never shut up long enough for me to say something nice about him. He always had to make a joke, or he had to just belittle himself just a little bit. You know, always go for the punchline if you can. It was kind of his motto. We wanted to start today with just a moment of silence. So if you would, if you take a moment to just quietly contemplate Dad's life in whatever manner is most meaningful to you. Appreciate it. Thank you. If you need more silence, you're probably with the wrong group of people. Dad always said, usually when staring at me, that if he'd known how much fun grandchildren were, he would have had them first, kind of skipped the kids. And we wanted to let the grandkids say something first about Grandpa, and Helen was going to say something for each of them. So, Helen?
I think I'll start with Edward and Keegan. They wrote something down for me to say about Grandpa. Edward said, "I like teasing Grandpa. We would always make up gross stuff for the other to eat. He would say he would make me eat grass clippings and banana peels, and I said I would make him a fish milkshake with rotten strawberries. I like it when Grandpa took me out to lunch. He would let me have pancakes and a milkshake. I loved his cranberry and blueberry scones." Keegan said, "I love you," and he would let me watch SpongeBob. He would take me to the creamery. He would look at superhero toys with me. What I want to say about Grandpa is I really loved him. He would spend so much time with the grandchildren, and at Christmas I really enjoyed singing at the player piano with them.
Bless your heart.
Clara wanted me to add that Grandpa, Helen, and I spent a lot of time making up the unfun amusement park. We had a roller coaster that threw you out of the ride and back into line so you could never get out. And to drink, all they had was mustard and ketchup in big cups. And Clara said the thing that she loved most about Grandpa was when he would let her climb up onto his chest and take a nap. Steve Coffey was one of Dad's closest friends. He was a fellow teacher, occasional travel companion, was willing to spend the night in the same hotel room as Dad, which is a mistake most people only made once. Steve and Dad shared a very special and intellectual relationship with many of the same interests, read the same books, they argued about those books afterwards. Steve's unable to be here today, but he asked me to read something on his behalf. He'd like you to imagine in your head the theme from the most interesting man in the world commercials playing. His laughter has been known to register on the Richter scale. He once body slammed a fellow teacher for squeezing his nipple. He didn't wear cologne. He didn't have to. He once made a bland meal. Once. He despised Robert McNamara. I also despise Robert McNamara. And he was the oldest person at my bachelor party. I'll leave it at that. The thing Steve wanted me specifically to share with you, a couple stories about him and Dad. Once, things I will remember. Having dinner overlooking the Rappahannock River in Fredericksburg, Virginia. For dessert, we had blueberry cobbler a la mode. After dinner, I headed to the bathroom, and Mike went off and somehow initiated a conversation with the restaurant manager. As I came out, Mike was telling the manager what a fine establishment you have, and I was here 20 years ago for a Boy Scout jamboree, and the food and service was just as I remember, top-notch. What Mike didn't know at the time was that he had half his blueberry cobbler smeared across the front of his white dress shirt. Mike and the manager said goodbye, and we headed to the car. As we were in the parking lot, I casually mentioned the stain on his shirt and how it must have made a fantastic impression on our southern host. Mike turned to me and said, "Son of a bitch, why didn't you tell me?" We laughed. Actually, I did more of the laughing, as I recall, for the rest of the trip in the following 11 years. I remember Steve said, walking on hallowed ground in the Gettysburg battlefield on an overcast Easter Sunday. We had a private tour that day, and the whole experience was outstanding. The day ended as the battle